It's time to turn the spotlight onto artisans, and today is something interesting called the 白狐妙语金边. So it's 白狐妙语金边, and what do you think it is? Is actually a spirit whip, or what we call Huat Soh, or fashion. So it's a common belief that the whip itself, can scare away evil spirits. But in Taoism, it is the sound of the whip cracking, a noise symbolic of thunder that has the power to dispel malevolent forces. So this fashion, or Huat Soh, or the spirit whip, is being utilized for cleansing of the area where spiritual events are being held or performed. In myth and beliefs, this whip was the transformation of the snake demon that was subdued by the 张公 Shengqin, or Fa Zhu Gong. So the use of the Huat Soh or fashion, besides doing cleansing rituals, these whips are also used to give commands to spiritual armies like the Wu Ying Bing Jiang. So for how a Huat Soh looks like, is usually looking like the head of a snake or a cobra. Sometimes on the head of the particular Huat Soh has a bagua on the head or the forehead of the snake itself, and this represents the Bagua Yading, and there's 7 stars on the throat itself. So 7 stars obviously represent the Big Dipper, which is really important to Taoism, and the 7 stars represent Qi Xing Feng Hou. So Feng Hou is like sealing of the throat. So in about, in year 2010, so the person that we're going to talk about today is Andrew Lim of Temple Huat Soh as a business. So in about year 2010, Andrew described as being 给神抓 or 给神抓到. So for this one, he received lots of messages and dreams and from the deity, Fa Zhu Gong, to carry on or to start a new business. So, he knows it's going to be tough. He has zero interest, like no interest at all to start this business or do anything like that. But because he was instructed through dreams and all by the deity to do so, so he started in 2014 the company Temple Huat Soh. At that time, he was a little bit hesitant, and he said that he had no choice, but he had to start this. But zero, like he said, he still did not have any interest in 2014. So, nowadays, Andrew mentioned that there's a lot of new generation, the younger generation, doing the Huat Soh, but to follow the traditional way of doing it in terms of carving it by hand and plating the whip itself, the Haitian whip by hand. He said it's actually quite difficult. There's lots of rules and regulations that he must follow if you want to make these sort of objects that the deity has instructed him to do so. So Andrew wants some viewers to know that Huat Soh is the Shenjing, or the snake spirit that the 张公 Fa Zhu Shengqin has subdued. So he said that there's a lot of obviously the other the young generations have created the Huat Soh with the dragon head. The original Huat Soh is still the snake, and there's also newer different heads start to that they have created besides the dragon as well as the snake. So unless he said the customer sends used Huat Soh for repair, he only does the one that looks like a snake. So he's not done the dragons or any other different designs and things like that. So he does all kinds of snakes, obviously cobras involved. So for he'll design and then carve them, and they are done according to the customer's request, and obviously the request from above. So the deities will actually let him know or let the customers know, and then they convey the message to him on what sort of Huat Soh that they want to personalize and then to make. So Andrew will actually do that accordingly. So obviously there are customers that ask him for specific materials or a specific color or different effects or things like that. So he then obviously follows that as well, because he indicates that that's what the gods want them to do, and guide them into making that particular Huat Soh. So Andrew then, went about to tell me that, this throughout this whole period that there was no training or anything involved. It's all him doing it on his own, and it's a going by experience or a feeling or a sense given by the deity itself on how he wants to do it. So there's no shortcuts or any fast way of going around it, because if you just use shortcuts and do it like chop and change and just some weird carving or anything like that, he said that most of the time that snake actually ends up looking like a worm. So that's really bad. So he said, that there'll be no rushing, no shortcuts, but to follow what the deity wants. So the image, the message that was sent by the deity to instruct to make this particular Huat Soh, he will actually do that. So no rushing. He's not going to hurry up and try to do it faster so he can get more customers through. There's no such thing. So no rushing, no shortcuts. And sometimes he takes 3 days or even more to actually have one whole thing done. Andrew has also our viewers to know that most of his orders are requests or a really special order or something like that. So most of the xin tuas or all the to tao or any xian feng and mainly the xin tuas, all of them order what their particular deity has requested for. So some of them has a special talisman on them, special wording, or writing on the surface or the back of the snake or even below the snake's head. So Andrew said the most memorable is he's able to study and understand these different requests to make them, to make what the customers want, and also to receive, for the customers to receive what he has created. He's actually made them really, really happy and satisfied. And he feels really proud of what he has been chosen to do, and what he has, perceived of the message from the deity. He actually produced a Huat Soh fashion that, they're really proud of and want, and very happy to use. So obviously, there are some upset customers, people who are not happy. He's copped, the scolding and the cussing and the cursing. But, it also makes him realize, what customers are, the customer service sort of thing, the liaising between the customers, the business aspects, as well as who's a real good customer and who's not. So I asked him, is there a particular period in time, like when it's a peak period or so, where there's a lot of people rushing in orders to get the Huat Soh made, or specific Huat Soh being done within a specific period of time? So he said sometimes it's about July or August. He's broken sales record. Within 1.5 months, he's made about $8,000 or so. But he doesn't quite mind whether it's a peak period or not. He just does, whenever there is a request, a special order or anything like that. And he told himself and his staff is that, the minimum that the number of Huat Soh that we have to produce a month is at least one new snake and one new snake design. So, he set himself some targets and things like that, and he tries to exceed that, but, obviously not taking into consideration sometimes, there might be a peak or that there might be a drop. So he told himself that he has to at least make one Huat Soh a month. So, and he has done that. So I think it's quite good in terms of, the fluctuation of the markets, or when Huat Sohs are needed, or sometimes maybe people are not ordering Huat Soh, they only do that, or they send it in for repair, but they might not do that until, they receive a message from the deity up above, or things like that. So I think it's, it's quite interesting. It's hard to, analyze the trends of when someone needs Huat Soh more than the other, or the xin tua has a higher number of Huat Sohs they ordered, or things like that as well. 'Cause I'm too rough around